So without further ado, spawning up here in the top corner, he is something that is good to have. He is a dream. And when you're pursuing a dream, you gotta have this guy down here. He is Patience. Now, this is a very good way to start the series for Dream. Just kind of freaking out Patience a little bit with this one, because now that Patience sees that he's going for that double refinery opening, he can kind of have this assumption that something crazy is coming his way. This will get scouted out, but really this is more of a feint. He is going to make maybe 1 or 2 Reapers from this, and kind of just be a nuisance in the base of Patience, but this isn't really a fully committed attack in any way. So it's kind of just there to psych out Patience a little bit, force him to scout a little bit more, and maybe even just delay his second Nexus for a little bit, which it does look like Patience is doing right now, to get out that first Zealot. Behind this, though, very standard. He's just going up to the factory behind it. And actually, Patience going to be doing a little bit of a proxy of his own. I think these guys are just allergic to putting buildings in their own base right now. As Dream actually getting some good damage done. Now, this is where it does get a bit dicey for Dream right now. He does need to throw down that tech lab immediately to try and get a Cyclone out in time for the defense. His rack's still on the other side of the map, so that's not going to be producing for quite a bit of time either. And now Patience can really just move across the map with his small band of units. And this is going to be, again, this is just going to be really dicey for him. Now, we don't see a probe moving across the map, and it is just going to be that Oracle play. You could kind of think that he would probably be going for Void Rays and the shield battery and such behind it, but nah, he's not going to do anything crazy like that. He's instead just going to go pretty bog standard here with that Oracle. A little bit of a supply block, though, unfortunately. That CC just a little bit delayed. And actually, you know, Patience being very cautious with that first Oracle. He's going to wait for the reinforcing units before he decides to go in. Gotta say, Patience is being very patient right now. Just not really diving on this until he can get a couple of Phoenix up, so that he can get some good lifts off on that Cyclone. And that's really the kind of key here, because if you pick those up, there is absolutely nothing back at home other than a couple of Reapers. So as the Cyclones go down, the wall is vulnerable. The C-check going to be popping out for the defense, but a little bit of a good micro situation here for Patience. Can take that down. And yeah, it's not looking good for Dream right now. 8 workers have already fallen. He is repairing for his life. So the Viking will survive, but he has to sacrifice the low ground location. Now Patience has this essentially soft contain where Dream can't break out. Behind this, we do have the Twilight Council and the Forge for upgrades coming up. And a quick scan is going to reveal that the natural is already saturated. And so Dream kind of knows the situation he's in. He does need to kind of, you know, expand slowly here. Try and break out only when he knows for a fact he can do so. One wrong move and you are being faced. So ideally from here, Patience can just kind of build up this powerful Protoss army. He can just, like, he's given himself a ton of time to do so. Dream still trying to be a little bit aggressive out on the map. Obviously going to clean this up and might go for a small attack. I don't think that would be the best option, but if he does so, then he's going to have to get a bit more damage than usual done, just with how far behind he is. If we take a look at that worker supply, down almost 10 with Patience already on 3 base. So now with Dream kind of sieging up this location, he's trying to build up that popular bunker spot. But Patience going to be going for a wraparound here. Going to be picking off the reinforcements coming across. Luckily for Dream, he does have them kind of in the same location, so it's not going to be one-to-one pickoffs. But now with Blink, this is just going to be a very lethal attack here. As Dream going to be fighting around those bunkers as much as possible. The Guardian Shield's coming up, and now those Marines not doing as much damage as they should. Unfortunately, the Sea Tank getting picked off in the back as well, so Dream might have to sacrifice this location. Vikings do land. The bunker are going lower and lower, and I think that is definitely the end of this attack, and potentially the end of this game as well. As I say that, Patience has actually been cut in that worker supply just a little bit here, so not as dire as I would expect, but definitely a Patience victory. Is pretty close behind. He just has to be careful not to overextend into that sea shank line, and it doesn't even matter. Dream knows it too. GG is called. So what an action-packed first game right there. Unfortunately, Dream, his proxy had his proxy kind of just forced Patience into that proxy. So. And I do know that Patience likes the proxy in TVP anyway, but hey. When you know that there's going to be no Marines. So we're going to be going into Submarine for our next one. A bit of a smaller map, so this I don't know who's going to be aggressive first is the big thing. I do know that we're probably going to see some very early aggression from one of these players, just because the map does favor it a little bit. I've actually never seen a long game on this map just yet, but hey. First time for everything. Let's check it out. Spawning down here in the bottom position for Brave Star Gaming, he is Dream. And his opponent down up here in the top position. He is Patience. Okay, so big distinction from the last game. This is actually Dream's base, and there are his buildings. So already this game has changed. It does look like Patience being a little bit more cautious than usual, probably expecting some sort of proxy. Just going to be getting a good scout around the map, see what he can see, but not really too much doing for him right now. It's also a little bit hidden right here, so we might be seeing another proxy go on down. There it is, the third pylon. And now the big way for Dream to recognize this, he needs to go in and he needs to see that there's only 2 pylons in the main base. At this stage, anything less than 3 pylons is an indicator that there's a proxy. And actually, I stand corrected on that. It's 2 pylons with the first SCV scout. But Dream does have a little bit of an indicator now, so he's going to be scouting around, trying to find it. Stargate once again, but it will get scouted out. So now Dream going to be looking for the probe. He really does want to take that down so that he can be a bit more aggressive in trying to clean up that location. The probe obviously able to kind of just drop down that pylon if the Reaper tries and kills the other one. But now, Dream going to be a little bit more defensive. And this is going to be crazy. It's actually going to be Void Rays behind this. We will be seeing those shield batteries kind of drop very aggressively, it looks like, at the front of Dream's Natural. And keep in mind, we don't actually have too much just yet. He's only just now starting that Cyclone. No starport anywhere to be seen. And yeah, even with that Magfield Accelerator upgrade on the way, this is going to be dicey. As the first Void Ray already in here, not enough Marines to deal with it. Patience is going to get taken down in the back. The probe does fall. So no more shield batteries just yet, but there is still a lot of energy on this first one to heal up this Void Ray. I honestly don't know how Dream comes back in this situation. Without a starport, there's no Vikings. You're not really pumping out enough Marines to keep up with the Void Rays. And even if you try and heal that up, you know, those shield batteries are just so aggressively placed that any damage you do is going to be decimated. And look at that, even going to be adding on the Phoenix just so that he can pick up those Cyclones. The Magfield Accelerator is still not done. I forgot how long this research takes. So yeah, these Cyclones pretty much just tickling the Void Rays right now. And you're kind of getting up to that critical mass where you can kind of just dive in here as Patience and take it out, especially since on the other side of things, he is throwing down that second Nexus. Getting that Twilight Council up as well, so he can even follow this up with DTs if he wants to. He can get some Blink. He can pretty much just do whatever he wants right now. Dream not going to be able to respond to it. Yeah, unfortunately, just not too much else to say here. Dream might slowly break his way out of this. He may slowly kind of expand out of it. And, like, we might even get up to his second base, but then you just got so much else to deal with. You can't afford to scan for DTs. You need as many mules as possible. But the DT shrine. Patience actually supply blocked himself a little bit there, so that's a tiny mistake. But now Dream has to be very careful about going down that ramp, as there is enough force field energy. So he is going to catch a couple of those cyclones. But that's actually going to be a pretty costly trade for Patience. So Patience actually overextending a little bit there. Now Patience on the back foot. Dream actually has a very scary army here, 28 to 10. And it looks like he's going to try and be aggressive with it as well. Back at home, Patience already throwing down 5 additional gateways to defend. So I may have called out Dream a little bit too soon. Seven workers going down to those DTs, however. And not only that, every single time, just every single time he scans, that's over 250 minerals that's not going to be in his bank account. So it's just, like, obviously, I can't count him out anymore, just because he has been able to keep up on that SCV production, and he does have that third base coming up now. But, you know, Dream going to be a little bit more aggressive. Going to get these Cyclones on that third base, try and get it canceled there. Has to be a little bit cautious, as, yeah, that was very expensive for Dream. 3 Cyclones going down. Phoenix able to clean that up, as well as get that medevac. Patience actually able to keep that up, but once again, Patience just overextending heavily. Losing quite a few of those stalkers. The Phoenix still flying around, but they're badly bruised at this point. Looks like they're going to be trying to pick off the reinforcing army. Behind this, Patient's going to be going for charge, but if he takes a few more engagements like that, then he is going to have to tap out of this game. See, that's more like Patience. A good blink micro, going to get a couple of pickoffs and just jump on out. And on the other side, we do have that drop coming down, as well as the push in the front. The Stalkers, a little bit out of position to deal with this. So 4 workers going down. The shield battery overcharge being the saving grace there for Patience. But now that that's popped, not too much for him. Dream going to be coming in here and destroying, decimating that third base. And although he gets cleaned up in the main, this is really a hazardous situation after what looked to be a fantastic start for Patience. Still just way too much bio with this force. A couple of warpins might clean this up, but it looks like the parade push of blue is coming across the map to end things. You can blink your little heart out as much as you got, but there is just too much here for one siege tank and a dream. And there you have it. Dream gets the tap out, so he is going to make a series out of this. We are 1-2-1. So that, it just looked so good for Patience early on. I gotta say, that Magfield Exceller upgrade was the most anticlimactic upgrade I've ever seen, just because of how long it takes to get out in that situation especially. All right, but we're going to be hopping up into Romanticide, and the biggest problem there was it kind of seemed like Patience. I don't want to say he lost his patience. I just feel like he took a couple of bad engagements that he really didn't have to take. Especially those, he had the Stalkers, which got taken down on the other side of the map. He overextended with the Phoenix a little bit, and just those kind of small mistakes really forced his hand in the grand scheme of things. But I digress on that because we're going to be hopping into Romanticide for our next map. Excuse me there. With Romanticide coming up, spawning up here in the top position, it is one man, Brave Star Gaming, and a Dream. And his opponent down here in the bottom, he's got a lot of his name, but he wants to go for the kill. He is Patience. Yeah, remember, guys, there are a lot of potential games here. A full best of 9. It's like a marathon. Like you guys are saying in the chat, it's like a marathon almost for these players. Luckily for them, they seem to be getting through these games semi-quickly, just in a way that they're not fatigued after every single game, which is kind of what I like about TVP and PV and kind of these matchups involving Terran. They usually don't last too long. If you remember back in Heart of the Swarm, this matchup was an absolute slogfest. Seeing games like 20 to 30 minutes, but now with Legacy of the Void just being out for this long time, the games just go so much quicker, and they're still just as action-packed as they've ever been. Even more so, I might say. But we do see this Reaper going to be coming in. The Reaper will have a safety point there at the natural. With that bunker going down, Patience really just wants to kind of deny that as quickly as possible. But the problem is, once he goes down there with that Stalker, he does lose a couple of his probes in the main base. He does get the kill, however. So that helps him out quite a bit. Patience going to be switching things up, going straight for that Twilight Council. And that'll open up a couple of different paths for him. The most likely one being Blink. Patience is known for his Blink micro. It's literally his defining move. Yeah, right now Dream is gonna have to sacrifice the low ground just for the time being, as we have these stalkers coming in. Blink has started up like we were expecting, and we have the Cyclone coming in for the defense. Now, an important thing to note here for Dream is he is going to be going up to that third base behind all of this. And he does get that 1 kill on the Stalker. Those might seem like small things, but they really mean the world in this situation, because now, with that third base, Patience is going to have not so much a timer, but a much higher goal for the amount of damage that he does with any sort of attack that he pulls out here, especially since that Nexus is a bit further behind. Dream off the back of this as well, going to be adding on that those additional tech choices. We've got the siege tank coming down, and actually going to be building an additional tech lab on that starport, so mostly just going to be there for the additional racks, but, you know, we might see a Raven. There it is. And this is kind of funny because with that Raven, he hard counters Patience, who is going for the anytime Dark Shrine. But you know, Blink is just about to finish up. We do have one siege tank in position as well as one in the main. So it's going to be difficult for Patience to find an angle here. He doesn't want to dive on top of that siege tank, so he does take a couple of pot shots. Warp's going to be coming in trying to divide the forces as well. And he does get the siege tank in the main base. But there's a Raven, there's a Cyclone, so you have to be cautious with that Warp Prism. If there was any time to dive on that siege tank, now would be it. But Patience being very cautious right now. We should be seeing that Warp Prism recall here soon. And behind it as well, we see that explosion of gateways that we normally see at this time. With charge, with +1 attack, so, you know, Patience, he's not dead by any stretch of the imagination, even though Dream taking some small leads here and there with the worker supply and the army. But now it kind of just comes down to a delay game for Patience. If Dream decides to move out, he's going to be able to set up a pretty strong position with those siege tanks on the other side of the map. So you have to delay for as long as possible. DT's really good way to do so. Patience going to get one more blink forward. Not going to get too much done there. Just gets the cancel on that building. And has to be careful not to lose too many of these stalkers on the retreat. This is pretty much just to force him away from this natural. 8 workers going down. The Raven helping out a lot, but at the same time, this is costing a lot of mining time off of Dream. Now Patience is going to continue to try for this killing blow. We have the Ghost Academy coming up to help with those Archons. And he has a full Wolf as well, so those Zealots are not going to be able to get a lot of surface damage. They're going to take a lot of pot shots from those siege tanks, but he does break through Dorito Dust surrounding these Stalkers, so he's going to have to get out of there. This is a fight that he cannot take. Dream kind of skyrocketing ahead in terms of that economy. So Patience pretty much just content now to kind of force the army back, keep him locked in his own base. But you know, I'm kind of getting worried here because we only just now see the additional Robo Bay. So there's no Colossus with this. There's no Disruptors either. And those are really the only two units that you can make right now that are going to salvage this situation. Now Patience, he's done a good job of the delay game. We do see Dream being a bit more cautious moving out. He hasn't really been off his side of the map for a long time, not even to drop really. But it's getting to that point where he is building up quite a scary army. Patience as well is committing a lot to these run-bys. We have just so many Zealots right there. It's about 900 minerals worth of supply. We do see Dream setting up for kind of this two-pronged attack as well right now. Dream, I don't know what those units are doing. He was probably setting up for some sort of drop. Disruptors going to be coming forward and just kind of forcing Dream back for as long as possible, but a good majority of Patience's army is going to dive off this attack in the top, while Dream's going to be rotating around to the bottom position. Now, Patience doesn't have enough to break this location, so he is going to back off for now. He still has that couple of Colossus at his home, but they're going to be very vulnerable to the Marauders in the back. And Dream actually just going to back out of here. He sets up for the drop a little bit later, but that's been completely scouted out here by these pylons, and Patience is actually just going to try and dive on top of it, retreating back, trying to find a more favorable position. Patience does have enough for the surround, as his fourth base is going to be under fire, and that will fall pretty darn rapidly. Still, again, going with these run-bys, that's pretty much his best option here, trying to force at least half of Dream's army back. But again, Patience, like, his problem right now is that he's not fighting with all of his armies, so Dream able to get some better trades than he normally would be. Although he does get taken down here, there is still this stream of blue coming in to reinforce. And here we go once again. A couple of cheeky pickoffs to start things. Disruptor gonna get canceled before it can fire. So already starting to be a good engagement. The force fields going to be forcing enough back. That decent disruptor hit right there. Small run by for Patience going on the other side of the map as well. And Dream is actually forced back once again. It is pure bio versus gateway, as the Colossus can't even keep up with this. So Dream actually just going to stand and fight a little bit on the retreat. He needs to buy himself a little bit of time, but Patience has taken the supply lead for the first time in a while. And he's going to try and extend his economic lead. in the front, but there's just not a ton of bio left for Dream. Disruptor's forcing Dream back to his own fourth. His fifth getting rushed over there with that run by. And I mean, they're kind of rotating in supply here. It's been going back and forth. Dream finally taking a little bit of a supply lead, but the Disruptor hit crushing through. I do want to say that if Patience win this game, it's going to be off the back of some destructive Disruptor shots. And you know, Dream has been forced back to that 4-base position while Patience mining on all 6 cylinders. A couple more good Disruptor hits. He does lose one of those Disruptors, but Dream can't really engage forward into this anymore. So it looks like Dream realizing his position. He wants to get on top of this with a Doom drop. He's already got one going down in the main base. Not that many pros, but he can cancel a lot of these gateways. You also see down at the bottom position, he's going to be going for that one, forcing the full-on recall. But Dream does get cleaned up over there. And the Colossus actually falling. They didn't have enough warped in with them to save them. And now this is a dicey position for these medevacs. They need to get home, but that's a lot of supply that's not fighting for Dream right now. Up here in the top, I gotta say, the most important thing for him here is Dream is getting the cancels on some of those bases. The problem is Patience just has this huge mineral bank, going to be expanding into the gas as well. And I mean, luckily for Dream, he has forced Patience back into this 5-base scenario, but that's still 1 base over Dream right now. Dream has a supply lead, but not an army supply lead. Taking a look at that army graph, it's just so back and forth. It is hilarious. Well, right now, Dream going to be in a good position back here in the natural. Going to do a fighting retreat. Medevacs do get out, so he's going to go straight for that probe as well, just trying to keep Patience as low on supply as possible. Where is this game going? I literally can't even tell who's ahead right now. Now the big thing for Patience is that he is primarily a gateway units right now. He's only got a couple of those Colossus. Disruptor not going to finish right there, but gets the second one, gets a huge connection. And Dream supply actually starting to plummet. Oh, the SCV is going to be pulling. It is neck and neck, but he has to save this space. He cannot afford to lose any more mining positions. Disruptor going to get 3 of those ghosts as well. And as Patience storms his way forward, the siege tanks start to fall. They were the big buffer for Dream. It is going to force him back for a little bit longer, but as that fourth base goes down, I don't know if Dream will have enough to hold on. That one siege tank is going to haunt Patience's dreams for the next few days. I guarantee it. There was no buff for the Planetary Fortress that I know of, but there were just so many SCVs on top of that, and Patience wasn't fighting it with this entire army. So that's why it wasn't really going down. And now Dream. He's in the situation where he has enough gas, which is fantastic for him, but he doesn't really have a ton of minerals to expend it on. GT's going to be coming in. The EMP going to reveal quite a bit of them. And that's going to force the Archons to morph in and go on the recall. Dream just trying to take this small location, but Patience almost completely maxed out. And yes, I am reading the chat because I like what you guys have to say. You got some good insight into the game that sometimes I miss something that you guys don't. Now Dream in a bit of a tumultuous situation. We do see that he's kind of divvying up his forces, trying to pull the army of Patience back, but now Patience gonna set himself up on the top of the ramp. Disruptor gonna get nothing there, but does force Dream back. And the big problem for Patience is he keeps pushing those locations, but he's not winning it. He's winning the small fights. He's just not able to win the war right now, I think is the big thing. I do favor him at this point just because obviously just because the supply tells the whole story, and now he's finally on top of the production of Dream. SCV's going down. The main front has fallen. One siege tank gonna hold the line. And Patience finally gets the tap out. That one was an exhausting one for him, and you can tell that he's going to go into that next one, trying to shorten things up. Jesus, 417 APM on that one as well. All right, so now it goes to Dream's choice. Basically, the format is it's loser's choice. I pick the first map, and we go from there. We go through all 7 maps before it resets. And yeah, looks like we've got the go-go. So we're going to be hopping into Death Aura for our next one. And that's half of my MMR, actually. But here we go. Let's get everything set up in here. So without further ado, in the bottom position, playing for Bravestar Gaming, he is Dream. And his opponent up here in the top, he is Patience for Into the Clan. So after a game like that, you can definitely tell that these players are very evenly matched when it comes to that late game situation. They just couldn't kill each other for the longest time, and even as Patience kind of did it by death by 1,000 cuts, kind of just forcing that supply lower and lower each time. It still kind of came down to a couple of key fights. And those disruptor hits definitely didn't hurt at all. All things considered, and I definitely agree with you, aka Red. Like, I think Dream. I think Dream didn't want to fall asleep in that last game, though. If he could fall asleep during that last game, then first of all, they should sell his blood as a sleep agent. But we do see he's playing in a bit more standard now. Going to go for the Marine behind this just to save time. Factory should be coming up as well. And honestly, I don't really see Patience proxying this game. The reason I say that is, one, because we have this Reaper out. He's being a bit of a nuisance, keeping the probes off the map. But at the same time, I think there's just a bit of a better way to do it for him. So Dream gonna sacrifice the Reaper. He does get one of those probes. Obviously the second one was the scouting probe. But once again, it looks like we're going to be going for Blink out of Patience as he's dropped that Twilight Council and is going to be aggressive with his first couple of Stalkers. Dream going to mix it up a little bit. He's got the Widow Mines coming out for the drop. And I think it's a safe move. There's the potential for big damage early on. The problem is, if it does get scouted, you can have those Stalkers in position pretty darn easily. And yeah, he has spotted the Widow Mines, so he instantly throws down the Robo Facility, trying to bait out that shot almost. But the Widow Mine, no dice on it. You know, the funny thing about Widow Mines in this matchup is that... Actually, not just Widow Mines, excuse me. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting English a little bit. It's very early in the morning for me, but we have seen some good variations out of Terran recently when it comes to these Widow Mine drops. They haven't been going straight for them in some instances. Obviously, I have to bring up Yun, who has come up with a very powerful Hellion Widow Mine 1-2 punch. But we've just seen kind of the follow-ups to these drops being very aggressive, very in-your-face against the Protoss player, because that allows you to kind of formulate an even bigger lead. Nice pickoff right there. He gets the Sentry. But unfortunately, the rest of the Widow Mines not going to get too much. He actually gets out of there with that third one, and he can put that right there to deny the third base for a little bit of time. And it's important that he has saved the medevac. That is a pretty big gas dump in the early stages, especially when you only had that 3 geyser for the longest time. But, you know, behind this, we do see Patience having a bit of a faster tech change, going up to that Robo Bay once again. I loved his disruptors in the last game. but he's probably going to go for Colossus to start things off. You know what I mean? From here, Patience just going to be a little bit of a nuisance. A small soft contain to kind of show Dream that he's here. If he can get that Raven, I think that would be worth a blink into Siege Tank fire. Just a little bit, though. Now Dream looks to be gearing up to take this third base. Stalkers get a little bit of damage on the paint, but they will have to back on out. And once again, you know, both sides being a little bit cautious here. I think for Patience, he doesn't want to overextend because at this stage he's still kind of slow. To build up. You know, he doesn't have as many gateways as he like. He doesn't have this explosion just yet. So if he takes a bad fight, he's not going to be able to recover as easily. So he's just kind of playing it safe, keeping himself back. But now he's going to go on the offensive a little bit as the Dorito Cannon drops on a lot of these Colossus, so they will be a little bit useless right now. You can't take that fight. Once the Dorito Cannon comes out, the flavor explosion just makes it impossible to fight. Yeah, I call it the Dorito Cannon because it's like when Dorito dust gets on your fingers, it just turns your fingers bright orange. So it's kind of the same principle. You know, I think it has the same effect too, because whenever I have Dorito dust on my fingers, everything seems to hurt a little bit more when I get hit. So I think it's the same principle. But, you know, Patience going to try and take this fight a little bit in the center. He's got the acceleration zone, so that's going to make him attack a little bit quicker. Small drop for Dream, going to be going to the natural for Patience. And the fourth base, going to have a nuisance stalker. Now the entire army is out of position for Patience, so this has the potential to do even more than just 10 damage. Artosis Pylon gonna slow down those gateways. It's like frozen in time. But now Dream, with a 30 army supply lead, scans going down, revealing where those Colossus are. He also wanted to get rid of those observers, but he's going to be setting up in a very powerful position. This push has the potential to kill Patience. Luckily for him, the disruptors do pop in the nick of time, and they do get some good connections on those siege tanks. Dream, still overwhelming supply, however, as he's got the drop in the natural, taking out the economy of Patience, and I think he has done it. This is pretty much the last ditch for Patience right now, as a lot of his army has to clean up that drop. Now Patience actually gets to catch this army as it's going for the main base. So unfortunately for Patience, while that would have been a good move in a lot of situations, Dream just completely out-positioning him. The Colossus going to fall in the back. And Dream actually just going to sacrifice a couple of those units to get it. And now there's almost nothing left for Patience. He's spread way too thin here. 12 workers going down. may have actually fallen in this game. Over 44. So now, the production tells an even bigger story here than the supply. Patience kind of just desperately trying to rebuild that probe count because he needs to keep up in that economy. But I think from here, it's kind of a slow burn for a Dream victory. You know, I think in terms of bringing back Brood War units, I think that the Liberator is very similar to the Valkyrie, just with a bit of an upgrade since it can attack around now. That's about the closest thing to a Brood War bring back that I think has happened. It also brought back Lockdown just on the Raven instead of a Science Vessel. Decent Disruptor shot there. Now, the problem for Dream is he has allowed Patience to kind of stabilize back on 80 workers. So he's giving him a lot of time to get back into this game, and actually now it's back to an even game. Patience even going to be able to take this fight as Dream in such a precarious position here. Trying to fight in a small choke point is not what you need versus Disruptors. But I mean, overall, wow, just Patience. He is a god of macro, I've got to say. Now, hope you like nukes because they're on the way. Now, Patience army is a little bit segmented here, as is Dream's. They're both trying to go for these scrimmages rather than an all-out fight at the moment, just because they feel like they can win in that situation. Both players starting to build up that bank as well, as they are both maxed out. But Dream going to be the first one to pull the trigger here. A lot of Zealots, but they're not really backed up by anything. The Colossus in the back now going to help out. But still, that is a lot of Terran bio on the fighting retreat. Nuke. I don't really know. I don't really know any words in Korean. The only thing I know is like Jumbi, Wayo. But you know, Dream, he's still very aggressive out here. The nuke is going to fall on a pretty much empty base, fighting into a choke point, so Dream not going to take the best engagement there. That's a lot of laser giraffes in the back as well. So Dream just taking a not so good army supply lead. Once again, a nuke getting dropped in the back. Yeah, the Disruptor's able to clean up the wall. Patience doesn't want to go up that ramp just yet because there is a huge siege tank line. But now Patience is actually taking huge amounts of damage to these nukes, and they're just falling all over the place. Unfortunately, this one does get canceled, and this one's on an empty base. I'm sorry for missing the nukes, guys. Like, I'm trying to catch everything, but there's just action everywhere right now. Ghost will get taken down as a couple of small engaging units gonna be coming down. Small recall being forced over there to the top, so the Colossus is gonna be able to clean this up. And now Dream gonna siege this location with a good majority of his army. Can't overextend there just because of the disruptors as he gets cleaned up on the top side. At this point, it might be a good idea to start using those nukes for positioning. Just to allow himself to kind of push himself forward. But now the Colossus, once again, kind of being the saving grace for Patience right now. As both sides completely maxed out. He loses the Nexus. But again, he just can't engage too far forward. Patience backed into a corner, however. And he needs to get out of there with at least a good majority of these units, but that does not look to be happening. Patience getting taken down. All those disruptors do fall. Some of the stalkers, the only survivors. And this does mean that Dream can push his way forward even further. A bit of a doom drop going into the main base as well. So that's going to force a lot of those stalkers to react to that. But yeah, as this will start to get cleaned up a little bit, but it is definitely going to trade pretty darn well as Dream coming in to the third base, just moving his way forward. The last of the disruptors go down. And with this base falling, I think this is where Dream finally starts to pull ahead and take the game out. Patience just kind of relying on those disruptors. Although, that being said, those medevacs not with this army. Yeah, it starts to pull ahead because he did have a pretty big lead earlier in the game that he wasn't able to take advantage of. So the nuke's trying to catch the army out. Dream trying to fire where he thinks it's going to be. But now, with the production falling for Patience, down over 70 army supply, the Colossus being the only thing to help take this down. There's too many siege tanks in the back. The gateways are falling, and the reinforcements for Dream going to go straight up to the top position. There you have it. GG is called. So 2 back-to-back long games. I mean, you definitely have to be patient if you want to kill Patience. Definitely. Yeah, he finished it just to pull ahead. But yeah, I'd like to remind you guys that we are sponsored today by Don't Fall. Stick around after the show match. We're going to be playing some games. I have all three posters. Like, I got Protoss and Zerg. It's just kind of hard to see. But yeah, stick around. We're going to be giving out some keys as well. So if you want to play along, just let us know. We're going to be hopping into Oxide for game number 5. How do words taste? Pretty bad, actually. I forget most of my words, even though it's the only language I speak. But you know what? I can't forget games like these. In the bottom position of Oxide, he is Dream. His opponent. At the top, he is Patience. So already we see that Patience is going to be pretty aggressive in this one, going for the very fast double assimilator. We also see this probe going for the cheeky position out on the map. It's probably just scout for right now, but you know, this could be pretty dicey for Dream if he doesn't get a read on this. I always say that the most dangerous probe to have is the one that you can't see out on the map. Actually, Dream just gonna, or Patience rather, just gonna go for the proxy nexus. So a little bit of mind games here from him. And yeah, looks like Dream is starting to take the bait a little bit. He sees that there is no nexus going down. He doesn't see the hidden nexus. And it looks like Patience actually going to be trying to hide this probe a little bit. And as I say that, he runs it right into the Marine. Oh no. So this does get scouted out. Looks like Dream is just going to try and deny mining on this for as long as possible. Yeah, I mean, Dream has a pretty good read on this game. I don't want to say he's ahead, obviously, because nothing has really happened. But just knowing that there's a base, which is a lot harder for Patience to defend, kind of ties in to your next big push. I do like this as well. He's adding on the Hellions, which will allow him to kind of be a bit more aggressive with that, as well as the medevac, so he can kind of just ferry those into the main base. Now that Patience has 2 different locations that he has to defend. But even going to throw down the proxy, going to get a gateway down there. I expect as we see the explosion of gateways very early on. Shield battery not going to be in time. There aren't enough Hellions to one-shot, but still denying all this mining time, forcing a couple of warp-ins at home. And I gotta say, I don't know if that was worth it for Dream, just because we do have the blink coming across the map as well. Siege Tank's not out yet. Not at all, it's just Marines. This is where it gets dicey. Very dicey for the Terran player. Gonna blink right in on top of those Marines. I'm not gonna fight the Siege Tank, but the SCVs are pulled. Unfortunately, I don't think that was the best way to handle that as Patience. He does get taken down quite heavily right there. If you're going to go for that, I think the best thing you can do is go for the Siege Tank if you're going to commit that hard, because he just took way too many pot shots. But now just gonna kind of rotate around. This just gets better and better for Dream. Even though he loses the Raven, there's not a ton of utility for it since there aren't any DTs at this stage. And now, since that Siege Tank was saved, you have a siege position in both locations. A little bit of a wind behind Dark Trident situation coming down here. Blinks right on top of the Siege Tank, but that's going to be a very expensive blink for him. SCVs still pulled for the bunker repair. Going to try and get a couple of pickoffs there, but the micro, I got to say, Patience is top 3 micro, NA, EU, and KR. All at the same time. Problem is, as well, he doesn't have any high ground location. He's relying on those hallucinations. Those do take quite a bit of time to recharge. He gets in here with the Adepts and gets 7 kills, so that is going to put him ahead in terms of that economy. As Dream still only on 2 bases. He hasn't taken his 3rd yet. But honestly, I don't think he is going to at this point, almost. Just because... The reason I say that is because he hasn't thrown it down yet. It's about 7 minutes into the game, and he's just pumping out Siege Tanks and Bio. So there's a good possibility that off the back of this, he just goes for a big 2-base timing. DT is getting some work done in the natural and the main. Not enough scans just yet. So those DTs actually have free reign, as the missile turret not done either. But you know what? Dream has said, I have had enough. Sending a lot of his units forward, going on the attack. Now, keep in mind, those DTs can kind of trickle in, force the scans while this attack is going down. So Dream really has to start banking them up so its economy not going to be as good as it should be because he has taken so much damage. And the funny thing is, he's going to go for the natural when there's actually nothing there. Force field only going to delay the inevitable, as the main base is now under siege. We do have 2 hidden base locations, but they don't really have any of the tech. So if this main base falls, that's going to be it. The DT's holding the line. as the C-Tech's wailing away on a lot of the production. He's going to have to pull back and wait for another scan to engage into this, and there you go. But the Shadow Stride, just good enough to blink on top. So Patience actually holds this quite well. And he's on 3 base mining to the 2 of Dream. Supply tells you a lot about this game, but I mean, the big problem is Patience has had this economy up for a lot longer, and there's just not enough scans to deal with the DTs anymore. Funny thing is, Dream sees all of this as well. Like, he knows pretty much where every single base is. So he is going to get a kill here, which will help him out. But I'm sorry, I'm kind of just laughing at how absurd this game is right now. Patience only just now throwing down his natural. And he is going to Shadow Stride right into Dream's base, as Dream going to be setting up for that 3rd. Forcing a couple of scans for those DTs going to help out quite a bit as well. But yeah, he's kind of just trickling in these DTs, trying to fade out those scans, but he knows the writing's on the wall. GG is called. And Dream, once again, pulls ahead by 1. So we are 5 games in. There are 2 maps left before the map pool resets. Trying to remember what the 2 maps are. But now it is Patience's choice for his map, so we'll have to see kind of what he's thinking. We'll have to kind of see what he's thinking in terms of this one. Like someone said he was streaming his point of view, so he's probably explaining himself in a way. Go, go, yo. That's kind of... that's my funniest thing to say is go, 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 yo, when Patience says it. But this is probably one of the most standard maps in the pool, Lightshade, you know? You do have a good smattering of bases. If I recall, it's about 7 aside. And it just allows for so many different play styles that there's really no way to tell what these guys are going to go for. But how about we just ask them themselves? Spawning down here in the top position, he is Dream for Brave Star Gaming. And his opponent down here in the bottom 4 into the clan, he is Patience. Okay, so far, everything's looking a little bit normal. Yeah, all the buildings are where they're supposed to be, in the main base. That doesn't really tell you a lot to start things off, but, you know, it's PvT. What can you say? So yeah, I think the big thing for Patience in that last game is he would have been in a much better position if he had just built army and not really relied on those DTs as much as he did. He just committed way too heavily into that tech tree. If he would have kind of transitioned after, he would have been in a much better position after that last attack, where he was able to kind of clean up Dream pretty effectively, even though he did lose a couple of his production buildings. Dream once again just going to try and get this bunker down. It hasn't worked in the first 5 times that he's done it, but you know what? The 6th time is always the charm. Actually, it's like the second charm, since 3rd time's the charm. But I digress, as Patience will probably just kill that off, as the Reaper going to be scouting around, looking for any sort of proxy. Actually just barely misses it. And it's going to be Stargate once again. Now, this isn't a very aggressive proxy either. It's still on Patience's side of the map. And what that opens him up to is the potential to use it for more than just oracles. He can pump out a lot more Phoenix a little bit more efficiently. He'll be able to defend it a little bit easier, so he can get up to that good 5 to 6 Phoenix count. Which, I mean, once you reach that point, you're able to defend quite well. The problem with it is that if Dream was going for some sort of 2-base timing or some sort of big siege tank push, then it's a little bit weaker just because you spend a lot on those Phoenix. Second Oracle going to be coming out behind it. He did have to waste a little bit of that energy, so not going to be as effective on the other side of the map. But yeah, I do like how he's just kind of getting that transition in nice and early. All right. Yeah, not too much to say about this stage. Patience, once again, going to just be throwing that pylon in the front for reinforcements. Behind this, he's got Blink on the way. He's going to start those upgrades pretty soon. And I mean, he might want to be aggressive, but I don't think he's really going to be, like, uber aggressive with this. I just don't see that really working. Excuse me. I don't see that working out very well for him. Oh no. So Patience getting that stasis ward off. The Marine is actually going to be stopping the Orbital from dropping the siege tank a little bit too far forward as well. Keep in mind, the Stalkers don't have Blink just yet, but they don't need it to get the pickoffs. A couple more big warp-ins here, and the Oracle is going to help out quite efficiently as well. So Dream, gonna have to sack this location for right now. It is equal supply completely, but there's actually only one siege tank with this, and a very aggressive Blink forward. Gonna get a couple of pickoffs, force the SCVs off the line. I mean, this is some pretty good damage for Patience to start off, but he needs more. We got the Revelation on the high ground so that he will be able to jump in there. Only going to send a couple in, and that might be a mistake, as the Marauder's going to get some good pickoffs as well. Looks like this just barely too much, though, as Patience going to start to overwhelm this position with the reinforcements. SCV's pulled once again, and guess what, guys? I think Patience is starting to break Dream. Getting right on top of the Siege Tank, the Stalkers. Just able to clean up a lot. He will start to get cleaned up a bit, but he's done so much damage. Over 8 workers going down. He's forced a lot of the reinforcements dead, and behind this, he's got charge. He's got that 4th base up. And he's still keeping Dream on 2 bases so that his economy is in shambles almost. Has to be careful not to overextend with the Stalkers because there is a Siege Tank in the back now. But I mean, behind this, he's got the Gateway Explosion. Okay then. Honestly, at this point, I'd say just he should have just dived on that before the SCVs got the repair. But charge is complete, so the Zealot's going to tank a lot of damage in the front. Patience just not giving up this position just yet. And as I say that, he gives up that position. Okay. Going to rotate around in the back, try and backstab these Siege Tanks. That is a pretty good move. Blinks right on top of them. The Zealots at the 3rd base, doing the perfect distraction right there. Patience not overextended with these Stalkers either, only losing one of them. The Zealot warp in. Just Patience. 1-2 punch. He pulls the army one way and then hits with the other. I'm really loving this symmetry of attack from him. And now Patience pulls ahead in that supply game. And I think this is kind of prompting Dream. He's just being more and more aggressive with his army, but that might be his downfall here. That is a lot of stabby boys. And Dream, with no real AoE to speak of, he's only got that 1 Siege Tank. But there's just a little bit too much here as Patience pushes his way forward. The SCV is going to repair that bunker as best as they can, but that is going to be enough to clean him out. And that means we are going to Game 7. I actually got to remember what map we've done so far. So Light Shade, Oxide, Death Aura, Romanticide. Oh, Pillars, right. I still get confused at some of these maps. But here we go. So yeah, basically, this does mean that we have at least a game number 8 here. It is 3-3 tied up completely. And you guys are right. Whoever said this was an even series was not lying. And you know what? I'm just going to jump straight into it because I know you guys can't wait. Spawning up here in the bottom position, he is Dream. And his opponent up here in the top, he is Patience. And yes, this is basically a best of 3 from this moment out, as you just need to win 2 more games in order to take the series. And I gotta say, like, I think I like Patience's faster more aggressive attacks a lot better than I like those long games, because it's you know, it's just really difficult to break Dream once he gets up to that really heavy siege line. He has pretty much the perfect unit composition in the late game, and you have to do it perfectly as the Protoss because there's EMPs. There's so many ghosts, and just really hard. Now Dream is going to pull a page out of Byun's handbook right now, the Inji Bay going down. Just trying to deflect that natural, and that's actually going to get pretty close to being done. So you're going to have to pull a couple of probes as patience, or it forces out the Zealot. Yeah, solo casting's not too bad. It's just sometimes you're kind of focused too heavily on observing, so you miss something when you try and expound on a point. I'm actually curious about this first Marine. It looks like he was trying to scout out that probe, try and get a kill on that. But I'm liking this part. We're going to be seeing Hellions come out. There's a couple of different ways that you can do this. You can go up to either 2 or 4 Hellions. Go straight for the wall, because as you see, Patience hasn't been walling off in this series, really. And then behind that, you build a couple of Widow Mines, send them across, and while you distract at the front with the Hellions, you just get in there and get so much Widow Mine damage done. So a lot of different, a couple different ways you can do that anyway. But yeah, this does mean though that there's not going to be a ton of Marines or even a Cyclone. So Dream has to be a little bit careful. And yeah, that's gonna make his heart sink just a little bit. I'm gonna force out that first Widow Mine. And yes, I am the observer as well. The Hellion's gonna be able to deny mining on this base for a little bit as the Oracle actually gonna stay home and defend. The Hellions will get in, but only getting 2 workers. That was a pretty committed attack. You definitely need a little bit more to make that worth it. Behind this, Patient's going to be looking to be aggressive once again. He's got that forward gateway down. And I mean, once again, we don't really see too much splash damage from Dream. He's got those one-shot mines. But versus what Patience is going for right now, that's not really the best. That 3 Oracle strategy, though, is very powerful as we see the SCVs starting to fall like butter, and there's just not enough. There's not enough tanks, or excuse me, there's not enough Marines to deal with it. A couple of good connections on a few of those Widow Mines, and Dream gonna go for broke here in the natural. Patience not really paying attention. Unfortunately, though, there's just not that many siege, or I keep wanting to say siege tanks. Stop saying siege tanks. There's no siege tanks. But anyway, Patience has broken through as the Viking having to land to deal with this. The Oracle's in the sky, just waiting to recharge their energy. Revelation going to give that high ground vision as well. Now, Dream does have an armory. So those Widow Mines not going to be revealed. The probes actually going to fall as well, just because they did get a second shot off. But at this point, I don't think it really matters here, as the SCVs are now dead. The reinforcements not enough to clean this up. And that is going to be it. Patience goes up to match point. I feel like I mean, just this series so far has been a not a nightmare, but a I can't even say dream, because Dream is the player. But it has been so back and forth. I think Patience is just I think you guys say it the best. Is Patience is running out of patience with these games, and he just wants to win it quick. A Night Fanfare, I am definitely going to use that. But anyway, guys, let's get this game underway. Spawning up here in the top position of Submarine, he is Dream. And his opponent down here in the bottom on match point, he is Patience. So now every move from Dream has to be a good one. He is on his last life right now. The question is he going to be aggressive? Because the thing is, if you're aggressive and your attack fails, you open yourself up to the counter from Patience. And if you do that, you're going to lose the game pretty well. The maps come up with the name from the people who make them. I guess they all just assume something. I mean, the thing is, this map is a little bit yellow, so it could be a yellow submarine. And it definitely could be underwater as well. It doesn't have the effects of Abyssal Reef, but, you know, sometimes the water's so clear that you can't even see it. So the only crazy thing... So Dream actually going to just skip the Reaper here. Go straight for that factory with the gas that he saves up. And is he going to throw down that reactor? I do think he is. There you go. So it's going to be Hellions once again. Romanticide killing the romance. I don't know. I think I would take my girlfriend to the rich gas geyser right there, you know, for a date. I think that'd be pretty romantic. But there we go. Dream is just going to be proxying that starport, and what he can do with that is he's probably going to lift up the Hellions, go straight into the main base with them. The Adept going to be a bit of a nuisance as well. Gets that first kill. Problem is he can't really go too much further because the Hellions are on the way. Adepts actually trade pretty even versus Hellions, but not when they start to get that splash damage in. Good wraparound from Dream, just going to keep those Hellions alive. But the problem is, if he loses them, then that makes his next drop a little bit less powerful. He does need to repair here because as it does take, it takes 3 Hellions to one-shot a probe line. As well, and from what I've been told, and this is just kind of someone else's opinion, you need about 8 kills here to make this worth it and to get out of there with a majority of the Hellions. The Oracle going to be coming in, getting some work done on the other side. And there is a shield battery, so let's see how much Dream can actually get done here. You need to bank up those shots if you're going to do it. He does get a couple of decent connections, and the Oracle not going to get too much more. He does get 5 workers, though. So relatively even trades from both sides. Now, those Hellions are going to lose a lot of their durability as the game goes on. And I mean, Patience was able to do that. Like, he made that look really easy. Now that starport has to come all the way home. So there's not going to be any more medevacs for quite a time. Hellions are pretty useful when you're going for a mech, mostly just as a buffer. But I do agree with Double Footer there. After about 5 minutes, they just lose a lot of their utility, especially when charge comes into play. But the Phoenix is going to be able to lift up a lot of this Cyclone damage, but the Oracles do go down behind it, so now the Phoenix have to get out of there. Patience lost his patience once again, and 2 Phoenix gonna fall. That was very worth it for Dream right there. Now, no blink this time. He's just gonna go straight up to charge. So kind of this Phoenix Zealot charge. In the main base, the Hellions do come in once again. They get a couple of good shots off, but there's not enough to one-shot anymore with those Phoenix helping out. A good overcharge on that shield battery. Going to save a majority of them. But, you know, Parting still, or not Parting, Patience still lost about 5 workers. I think it was good just to kind of sack the Hellions to get in there, see what damage you can get done. And it does look like Dream's got his 3rd base up, so he's not really going to be hurting for minerals too much as he builds up his production. So, Patience just sticking with the Phoenixes right now. We don't see any big transition. We will see those Zealots going to be popping down on the ground now that they do have charge and that +1 armor upgrade. And what does Dream have against that? He is going pretty heavily into siege tanks. So that'll help a lot with the splash, but the problem is that splash is a 2-way street. Once those Zealots get on top of your units, those siege tanks are going to do more damage than good. So the Phoenix just going to be flying around. Those ghosts actually in a little bit of trouble here. Gets the first big pickup, and that's the first couple of ghosts dead in this game. Going to get a couple of worker kills as well. We do see that gateway over by the 4th base, but that's not being used just yet. Yeah, Scan going to go down, revealing just the magnitude of gateway units that are down here. Phoenix still flying around as well, getting some good scouting information. But they do need to be careful. You really do want to keep them alive, just because they have all that utility. How does one pick up 2 ghosts? It's kind of the same as how Bjorn can pick out 2 banelings in a swarm of zerglings. These guys are really good with their focus fire. So Patience has some really good map spread right now. He pretty much sees everything that's going on. And I mean, he's very aggressive right now. Even if he's not attacking, just his positioning is set up so that he is ready to strike in multiple locations at once whenever he so chooses. Dream getting a lot of his medevacs picked off as well, so he will be having to remake those. But this does mean that a large number of Marines are out of position. They're not in siege tank range. So only just now are they going to be defended. Now Patience has to be very cautious right now. He can't break this line. He probably thought they were safe with the Marines. And wasn't really paying attention to them. His attention was probably somewhere else. Like this small drop going to be going into the main base. That's going to pull back a lot of the forces of Patience. Both sides almost completely maxed out, but what this allows Dream to do is get into position near the 3rd base. And now Patience will actually have the wraparound. Those Zealots that were ready for a run by going to get straight on top of the siege tanks. The question is there enough of them? Siege tanks getting a couple of extra shots off, but I think Patience does not have enough. It looked good for him for just a second there, but there is still so much bio. So ladies and gentlemen, I think that Dream has done it, over double the army supply, and this means we are going to go into a game number 9 all the way. GG is called. Wow. Wow. Okay, so it's Patience map choice for the last one. He has pretty much all the maps at his disposal. And he is going to choose Romanticide for his last stand. And you know what? We got to make this one as epic as possible, guys. So raise your kappas in the chat. Like, raise your emotes, and I want to hear you guys cheer when we get these introductions out of the way. As both players are in the lobby, and we're just waiting for their go-go. Just waiting on Patience to give me the go-go. I hope you guys can hear that countdown timer, because that is the countdown to brilliance. And so let's try and make this as epic as possible, guys. Spawning. Spawning in the top position of Romanticide. He is our blue Terran player. He is Dream. And his opponent down here in the bottom, looking to close things out, he is Patience. Oh, what the heck? Oh, okay. For some reason, my other microphone was on for some reason. Now, this is the first time Patience has actually been using the annoying probe. I think we might be seeing some aggression out of him. I think that's going to be the best option, really, is to try and end this game early, because once Stream gets up to that critical mass of bio, we've just seen Patience have a little bit of trouble engaging into it in the past couple of games. Almost first blood right there. As we see Dream going to be going for that early scout. He needs to know what's going on. I'd like to remind you guys as well, stick around afterwards. We're going to be playing some Don't Fall after this. We've got a couple of Steam keys left to give out as well. They have actually been really nice to sponsor this show match. So it's always good to give them some love so that they continue to sponsor some good SC2 content. So once again, Dream, I gotta say, I admire his determination to get this bunker up. And at the same time, he's got to kind of acknowledge that Patience is never going to let that happen. That's about as close as he's gotten so far. And it's still going to fall, as the SCV kind of knows it, and he's going to back out. Oh God, I've just been added to the Discord for the Don't Fall, and it is going ham, so you know the games are going to be good after this. But you know what? This game is going to be awesome, as we've got, once again, that Twilight Council going down. Patience sending out that first Stalker as well, and this tells me that he wants to go for one big blink push. Hellions in the front, going to do what they can, but the shield battery is enough to kind of shoo that away. Behind this, we do see that Dream's going to be going forward the Widow Mines off the back. And that's actually a really dangerous proposition for him right now, because it delays any kind of splash. He hasn't seen the blink just yet. Actually, has he? Okay, he's seen the Twilight Council. But this does mean siege tanks are going to be a little bit delayed. It's kind of just a matter of when Patience decides to pull the trigger. This does mean that the Stalkers are in position, so those Widow Mines are not long for this world if they try and go in. Patience doing a really good job of kind of just shooing this away. He's got the third base almost up and running if he can keep that probe alive. But I mean, all things considered, this was more of a defensive blink, it looks like. So I mean, maybe he's not going to attack with it. He might just go straight for the late game. right, gonna blink forward there, right into Siege Tank fire. Just taking a little bit of health off these Stalkers. I don't think he wants to do that again, as there are enough Siege Tanks in position that this isn't really gonna get too much done. Oh, going a little bit too far forward with the Raven, and that's gonna get taken down, so the Observer lives to see another day. I think that's about the majority of the damage that he's going to get done, so he is just going to back on out. And I mean, behind this, both sides just really powering up. Only just now is that third command center going down, so that has given Dream a little bit of time to build up the perfect army. And I think, just based off the timing of it, we may see him go for the attack. As he's trying to put that down. The best defense is a good offense. When it comes to third bases. There you have it. The bunker has been canceled. The Stalker's going to try and get some work done before the tank siege up, but no dice. I did see a small drop come down, and there it is, just trying to scan for it, but he reveals the Colossus, and he reveals that he is not getting in there anytime soon. A salvage. Yeah, you're right. The more and more this game goes on, Patience just getting all the right tools to deal with it. I don't see Dream really transitioning here, as Patience even has the upgrade lead, going for that +2 attack. Yeah, this kind of just feels like when you're young and you have a really young little brother. He's trying to punch you, so you kind of just take it so you don't get in trouble from mom. So Patience, gonna move out once again. This is kind of just to keep pressure off as he expands up to his 5th base. Neither side really pulling the trigger here. And I think that's for Patience best, because he is down over 30 supply, and over 20 army supply. We did see a small drop going down. The Widowmine getting a little bit of damage done, but not a ton. So Dream just kind of trying to keep it going. Huge disruptor volley going down. We'll take out a lot of the bio. Kind of dim that supply lead that Dream was having. But now Patience has to be a little bit more patient. He can't push this location with what he has. His units are just all over the place, I gotta say. Just looking at this map presence, if Dream even thinks about moving out, Patience will know about it. It's hard to say who's really in the better situation. I think Patience is pushing himself a little bit further ahead in that regard, just because he does have more mining bases. and the map vision as well. But now Dream is kind of getting up to that really scary army composition. Just so many siege tanks if he decides to push in with them. That would be a nightmare for Patience to deal with. The DT is going to hold the fort. EMP going to take down quite a few of them. I mean, that Archon might actually get up in time, but that will get killed off. Dream going to try and hit. That was a bit of a 1-2 punch, so the second punch is coming up here. Going to get a kill on that 5th. And he's just going to back on out of there towards the 6th. Good EMP is going to blanket this army, making it a little bit more vulnerable. But Dream does need to retreat. Keep in mind, he is completely maxed out right now. So if he just pulled his army together, I think it would just be really too overwhelming for Patience to deal with. But we'll have to see huge EMPs going down on the units coming in. He probably could have just canceled that by going for the pylon. But hindsight is 20/20 as the Zealots all start to fall. A little bit of a reinforcement from the back. Gonna try and help out. But now Patience is gonna have to pull his entire army to deal with this, taking a couple of extra pot shots with the siege tanks. And that is gonna prompt Dream to pull the trigger. He's got an overwhelming siege line right here. So it's really up to Patience to defend this location. DT is going to hold down the fort, get a good start on that bio, just kind of whittling it down. Relatively even supply right now, but this base is going to fall. I kind of agree with Patience's decision to kind of forfeit this location. The big problem is his army is on the other side of the map now. So he's just going to go straight for the reinforcements and go for the surround. Disruptor's going to get a couple of good shots off. The Zealots on the other side start to get picked off, however. So Patience just not really having enough to clean up this location. But Dream is on a roll. Patience unfortunately taking a couple of bad fights right there, not fighting with the Colossus. And Dream is sieged up on the high ground, so a huge connections coming down all over. Disruptors gonna force as much back as possible. But now he is out of time there. Force fields gonna force Dream back. But the problem is Patience can't really push with this. He's still down in terms of army supply, and there is still a lot of splash back at home for Dream. Literally, the Disruptors are his saving grace because they do allow him to disengage. And even though he's maxed out here, has a better army supply, this position is looking nigh untenable for him. Yeah, just trying to get in there, but no real dice. We do see the DT's going to be coming in, get a little bit of work done, as well as a small Zealot run by over there. Might actually get the cancel, or a kill rather. But no, the EP comes in just at the nick of time. The Zealots are going to try and get some work done on this side. They get total about 6 workers with both of those attack. Now Patience just doing what he can to try and keep Dream back. While he may not have enough to kill him just yet, he just can't really afford for Dream to come across. And it is neck and neck right now. And honestly, I'd say if you're Dream, don't even try and remake those SCVs, just replace them with armies. The Disruptors, though, not enough to clean up. They get taken down. The Colossus are falling in the back, and Patience's supply has plummeted. So now Dream is gonna pull the trigger once again, gets a kill on this base and force a couple more warp-ins. Now Patience gonna do what he can on the other side, and you know why Patience's army isn't very big? It's because he has 98 workers right now. He thinks it's about time to trade those out. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny because neither side really able to kill the other one. A huge Zealot run by going to try and get a kill on this base. The SCV is going to repair. And that will pull Dream, at least part of Dream's army back, but on the top side, he's trying again. And just every single time Dream does this, he is trading relatively efficiently. The army of Patience being very bruised here and there. But the problem is Dream. Once he pulls your armor away, he goes straight for the next location with a small hodgepodge of units. T-Shank's going down, the DT's in the back doing some real good work, so that attack is going to be cleaned up. And Dream's supply is now the one that is plummeting here. Not really that much of a base trade situation, as Patience has a much better army. We might be seeing a recall here if he so chooses. So a lot has gone on in the past couple of minutes. But this is pretty much the last of Dream's army. He lost a good majority of his bases as well. So Patience just steamrolling ahead, and now I think it's death by 1,000 cuts. As it's going to take more than one or two bad fights for Patience to lose this one. Still, he's going to try and kill off that last planetary fortress. Unfortunately, he commits quite a bit to that. Not to get it. 13 more workers going down, currently down to under 50 for the first time in a while. And again, just DTs right in here. Going to be right on top of the production. I think the big problem with Dream in this game and really in the series is that when he's gotten into these late game situations, he hasn't just kind of consolidated his army and gone for a big push. He's always gone for these smaller engagements, these smaller double prongs when Patience has had enough to defend. In both locations, he currently has 16 gates to remax out of, and quite a huge bank, while Dream is pretty much on student loan point at this time. Just take a look at that income advantage. It is humongous. Now Patience, again, he's being very cautious, but I feel like one big effort is enough to finish this out. Although that being said, he does walk straight into Siege Tank lane, loses all of those disruptors, but there might just be a little bit too much Colossus fire here. Zealots in the front going to distract a little bit of that bio. The problem is Patience. He's not closing it out that well, but even then he's up over 70 army supply, and I think he's just about to finish things up. Maybe one more warp in before he goes in. Here we go, the Zealot's gonna take a lot of that Siege Tank fire off of the Stalkers. Patience once again going to back up here. But DC's in the back. Going to clean up a lot more of Patience's Dream Supply. I'm forgetting which one is which here. His saving grace has been these siege tanks. They're the one thing that have kept him alive, but at the same time, is it really living at this point? Stuck in your own base and not able to move out on the map while your opponent just has so much economy. I think so, as 3 ghosts go down there in the first volley. Again, just not attacking into this position. If you attack from multiple locations, just kind of get the wraparound, then that's going to clean it up. I don't even think you need to go into Stargate at this point to get some Tempests, because he's already maxed out, and he can win this game. I know he can. And I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer for Dream. Like, this has been an amazing series by him so far. It's just, he's not really getting what he needs out of this, and even taking big shots like that is enough to cripple him. Look at that. Patience just even taking Dream's bases right now and below 100 supply. It's pretty much just pure bio. He can't afford to make anything else. He doesn't have the gas for it. Some really good blink micro right there. Big attack coming down in the other side. And as the army falls for Dream, Patience takes the victory. A bit of a fantasy GG.